Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of One Ball Between Us. I am your host, Stubborn Zombie, and this is my co-host here, Cypher.
Hello, thank you for joining us again.
I hope everyone's been having a good Easter. I can't believe it's
Yes.
crept on us so quickly. Easter just sort of creeps up every year, and it changes every year as well. I did not know that it was so soon, and then it happened, and I was like, oh, we're at Easter again.
We're here, it's hit, and it's gone just as quickly as usual.
I was gonna say, it appeared and then it's gone again, so I guess we'll try again next year. Because I didn't get any Easter eggs this year. I actually got, tiny little Easter chocolates instead. I was gonna get an Easter egg, but I feel like the price of Easter eggs has gone up, massively, so it's hard to be able to afford to get Easter eggs, surprisingly, which is really weird to say, but yeah. But yes, so, on the screen, so for the YouTube listeners, you won't be able to see this, but for those of you that are watching live on Twitch, on the screen, it still says that the podcast is every Thursday at 8 p.m. BST. That is obviously going to be changed because now the podcast is every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. BST. So as you can see, we're live today. For those on YouTube, it'll be uploaded at a different date. But it will mean that next Tuesday we're not on, it'll be the Tuesday after. So make sure to join our Discord server if you haven't already, because the Discord has a event list of when our episodes go live. So if you'd like to check that out, Discord is the best place to keep up with all of our socials and all that and see when we go live. But today is a very interesting episode for us both because it is an episode about disability, and doing as I normally do on the first episode, we're bringing that into the other episodes as well. I'm going to bring up the meaning of disability. So Google's definition is a physical or mental condition that limits a person's movements, senses, or activities. And then for our younger listeners, our Urban Dictionary version, this one is actually updated. So last time on the first episode, the definition was in 2011, I think it was. This one's actually an updated one. Yeah, 2006. Okay, so it was even later then. So this one's actually 2019. So Urban Dictionary's definition is a physical or mental condition that means you cannot use a part of your body completely or easily, or that you cannot learn easily. However, this does not necessarily detract from your other abilities. So I quite like that version. I think that's really nice. It kind of goes a bit more in depth to sort of explain that just because you have a disability doesn't mean that you're not able to do certain things, or it doesn't define you. Having a disability, it does not define you at all. So I think that's actually a really, really nice definition. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. It definitely feels more apt than the other definition. I would also like to point out, excuse me, that as this is this topic is very close to home for the both of us, you might hear us get a bit emotional. Let's say.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say we've both had difficult times in dealing with this topic. So yeah.
Yeah, it already sounds like in your voice that you're starting to get a bit upset as well. So yeah, just to preface this, we are both as you can see within the podcast, in the material that we've put ourselves out there, we are two disabled vtubers. So disability is something that we both face. Slightly different reasons, but also some of them similar. Mental health is the main one that we both have. We both actually have the same mental health, it's hard to find someone that has the same mental health with you sometimes. But we've talked together for over a year now, and we've realized, damn, we face a lot of the same issues. Obviously it's not always going to be. Yeah, it's nice to have someone that actually understands how you feel.
And it's nice to have someone who can actually empathize with you as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not always going to be 100% the same, but it's definitely helped me in coping, knowing that someone else sort of understands what I'm going through and can can sort of sympathize with the sort of issues that I face and that. So, but yeah, things are gonna get a bit personal, but we'll try our best to just keep it as light-hearted as we can, because of course, this is all serious topics that we're going to be talking about. Some of the podcast episodes will go into like a lot of serious topics that will be quite sensitive to us, maybe sensitive to other people. So if you are not in the right head frame to listen about disability and how, at least for us, the UK system for disability, if you're not willing to hear any of that, then feel free to skip this episode. We're not going to take any offense. Feel free to tune into a different episode. That's completely fine. But here is like your sort of like trigger warning that we're going to be talking about disability, the effects it's had on us, and kind of the disability system here in the UK. So yeah, that's kind of like a little warning to sort of just go look after your own mental health, go look after your own disabilities if you have them, and stuff. So, which, to be fair, that's kind of an interesting thing to sort of segue to, I guess, really, is that I've never really heard of mental health being a disability for a while. So when I was growing up, I don't know if this was similar for you, whenever people talked about like disabilities and stuff, it was always physical. Like always mentioned, like you're gonna have someone in a wheelchair, you're gonna have someone like lost an arm, lost a leg, or anything like that. I was never told when I was younger that mental health is a disability, and I think to this day there is still sort of a stigma around like mental health as a disability. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that yourself.
Oh yes, 100%. It's I completely agree with you. Growing up, going through school and that, it would never be seen disability for mental health reasons or anything like that. It was always physical, and I think that's down to the fact that it's mental health and disability. With regards to mental health, it can't be seen. So other people can't see that, and because of that, there's not enough people talking about it, not enough research, this, that, and the other done. It's more unknown as a disability.
Yeah, I know what you mean. At least, growing up, I was never really told like anything that mental health was definitely a disability, and I think, like you say, because you can't see it, I think a lot of people, or at least you can't see it physically. Like it's not like a someone's lost a leg or lost an arm. For your mental health, you've not exactly lost anything physical there. Like it does affect you physically, because I don't know if it's the same with you, but a lot of the time when I have like really, really terrible mental health days, I can't get out of bed. I struggle getting out of bed. Yeah, it's one of those things where it just makes me feel so like depressed in a sense, because I just can't do the things that I want to do because of mental health. Depression makes me depressed. I'm surprised. Yeah.
Mental health and having for a phrase you use, and I'd like to start using, having a day where you've got low spoons is debilitating. Poor mental health does as much as physical will affect a person's quality of life and how they are able to live their day-to-day life, and that's unfortunately and that's why I personally believe there needs to be more of a light shone on how much mental health can affect people. Obviously, it probably helps that I'm studying psychology, so mental health is a big passion of mine. I like learning about it, and I want to do what I can to help people in the future with it.
Honestly, that's like super inspiring that like you've gone through stuff yourself, and then you're at that point now where you want to help others out with you've experienced stuff yourself, and you want to be able to ensure that others don't go through what you've been through. I think that's honestly really inspiring. and I wish you all the best with it, because I know currently you're at university and you're studying all that, so fingers crossed everything goes well with your studies and that. So it sounds like you're completely going in the right direction, so I'm excited to see where it will all take you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's difficult because with like mental health especially, it sometimes because it's like in your head and it is a mental thing, sometimes you feel like I don't know if you ever experience the same thing, but when you're having mental health days where you feel so bad that you can't get out of bed, you sort of think in your head like, well, I'm not physically unwell, you know, why am I not able to get out of bed? But then in a sense, because you're so depressed, you're so, you know, unable to do anything, it does affect you like physically. Like I've had days where I've been so depressed that I felt like my entire body was just like crumbling. Like I could not get out of bed because I was so heavy in my body. Like my arms were aching, my legs were aching. So in a way, there is the physical effect with it, really, because it just affects the rest of your body because of your mind. Like, your mind is an incredibly powerful tool within your body. It can do so much things, but it can really fuck you over if it wants to. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. It's speaking of mind, obviously you've got things like placebos, where if you just think about it, it will work. However, there is the other thing of a nocebo, where if you think of the negative thing that something's doing to you, it will cause it. Your brain
absolutely,
and your mind has such strong control over your body. And I do personally find that if I am having a bad mental health day, it seriously does impact my physical health. It makes my EDS 10 times worse than on a normal day. For those who don't know what EDS is, it's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it is basically a weakening of the connective tissue in your body. So I am hypermobile in my joints, so double jointed. I believe that because obviously connective tissue is all around your body, I believe that's what has caused me to have heart problems and things like that. But yes, so sorry, just shining a bit of light on my condition.
Of course. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to be able to be as representative as possible. I mean, for me at least, I don't have anything quite as severe as that, because that is, like, at least to me, sounds incredibly severe, and I know you've talked about getting help for that and stuff, so hopefully, fingers crossed, people can help you out with that. For me, my kind of main problem that I have with my body is I have an illness called polycystic ovarian syndrome. So for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically a illness within the ovaries that basically means my ovaries could either get like a load of cysts or they can have no cysts. So basically your ovaries, they're okay having like a couple of cysts on them, basically. That's fine. But they can get to a point where the cysts can start to begin to burst, and that's when it causes like a lot of pain. So for me, I've had one burst in my entire life, and it completely immobilizes you. You can't get out of bed because of the pain. But it means that now every month that you know, as a woman, or at least someone with ovaries, because you know you can also be non-binary and have ovaries. It's one of those things where it's like I feel like I should be okay because it's like, oh, it's, you know, it's just an organ in my body, you know, and all that, but it does really hurt you so much. Like there's definitely months where I am in a lot of agony, and for me at least, usually you're supposed to have a period once a month. Ideally you're supposed to have one once a month. You're meant to have at least over 4 in a year, basically. And for me currently, I had one in December and I've not had one since. So currently I've not had one in 2023. So, which is pretty bad, because if you don't have regular periods, you know, like even if it's not fully monthly, you should at least have one kind of roughly around like every month. Because it helps regulate like the blood in your body and all that, and it helps with the ovaries and stuff. It can actually lead to cancer, ovarian cancer, if you don't have these periods like over 4 times a year. So that's kind of like something that's always kind of been in the back of my mind, is that I could possibly get ovarian cancer at some point because my body is just not cooperating with me, and that is a scary thing to think about. And it's definitely like crippling in terms of pain whenever I like do get it. Or I've had months where I call them phantom periods. It's basically that it feels like it's gonna be a period, but then obviously it doesn't happen, but I still get the pain. So
you still get a lot of the negatives of having a period.
Yeah, definitely. You get like this feeling of like, I should be having a period right now because all the signs are happening, you know, like I've got like an upset stomach, you know, I'm in a lot of pain, like in my ovaries and stuff like that, but then like I'm not bleeding, so it's like I'm not having the actual part that's supposed to happen. So it's some people might say is a blessing, but you know, when you're supposed to have so many a year, at least when you're younger, because of, you know, cycling out the bad every month, and then you're not having it, it's scary. It is scary, but
oh no, I completely understand. Obviously I can't fully understand.
No, you don't have any ovaries yourself, at least from what I know, so
yeah, no. So that does not sound like a good time.
Yeah, so I think we've kind of both got something with us that's a sort of like definitely there, that's causing like a big problem with our physical health, and then we have obviously our mental health as well. So we've got quite a bit going on with us in terms of disability or disabilitating illnesses and stuff like that. So there's definitely stuff going on there. So, but I think the main thing is with disability is that it's really hard to prove that you're disabled if it's not physical.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The hoops you have to jump through to prove that you have a disability, a mental health disability, is just absolutely insane.
Yes.
And it should not be that damn hard.
It shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't be like having to literally jump through hoops just to prove that I'm disabled to someone. I get 100% having to like explain stuff to people, because so here in the UK we have a system called PIP, which is a personal independence payment, and basically it's they have like 2 different rates. So they have like a standard rate, which is basically that's like the amount you get for being disabled. So it's higher the more disabled you are or the more issues you have. So like say if you have cancer, you'll get the highest rate, because obviously you can't work because you have cancer. You know, you're gonna need the extra money to like pay for like costs and stuff like that. So they tend to give you like the higher rate. I am currently on the standard rate, on the lowest amount. I don't know if you're on the lowest amount as well at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That is me. I mean, I'm for lack of a better word, I'm lucky in regards to the fact that when I did my application for it was I've got big high mobility issues with it. So because of my mobility issues, that was easier for me to get an answer. Also, thanks to that, it's enabled me to get a disabled person's bus pass.
Yeah.
Because I have such issues with my mobility, there's a possibility I might need walking aids. I'm looking into getting knee braces for more support for my knees. But of course I did put down my mental health on there as well. But I dread to think how hard it would have been if I was trying to get it just on a mental health point.
Yeah, I think it's like I've currently, when I did my PIP, so we did ours around the same time, I think, like roughly around the same time. And you got yours sooner. I think it was just because of like whereabouts we live and stuff like that, because some places they tend to get like stuff sooner and stuff like that. And I think for you at least, because you did have more of the mobility side for you, they definitely were on your end, were just like, yeah, that's fine. For me, they had to ask more questions. Like, I remember when I was doing mine, so when I told them mine, my main thing was mental health. Mental health was the main disability that I had. I do have mobility issues. I have problems with like my lower back and my legs and my knees. So not anywhere as near as bad as you with hypermobility, but I currently require crutches for walking. I am seeing a physiotherapist, so fingers crossed I can eventually come off the crutches. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's see how it goes situation. But yeah, I remember when I did mine, and because it was predominantly mental health, when I had to do the interview. So over here in the UK, the way that they do it is basically they'll get you have to fill out an application booklet, which is a pain in the fucking arse.
Oh, it is. Oh my God, it is.
It's so long. It is so long. It is a booklet that's like, I swear to God, 30 pages of just you filling out like everything that you go through on a daily basis. Can you shower? Can you cook food for yourself? Can you go out walking? If so, how far can you walk? All this stuff. You have to put down literally everything. And if you are thinking of applying for personal independence payment in the UK because you're disabled and you think that you need the extra help, please put down your absolute worst. When you fill out the application, you need to write it as if you are on your worst day.
We cannot stress this enough. You must put down that you are having your worst day. Otherwise, it will be even harder for you to get any support. And it is really bad that you've got to be like that, because let's face it, every day we go through our lives trying to live the best days possible, the best we can, but because of the way the system is, you have to do the complete opposite to what you're used to. You have to go about it as though you are literally having your worst day. Excuse me.
I understand. It's disgusting that we have to basically just sit there and be like, because at the end of the day, you're not lying, because you are telling them how you are on your worst days. It's not like you're lying, it's just that in that exact moment you might not be on your worst day, but you still have to put down the worst that you experience, because otherwise you're just not going to get believed. And I think that's actually full on disgusting, honestly. The fact that we need to preface that, like, and don't put in that, like, oh, on my worst day. Just put it as if you are having your worst day then and there. So you write it as if, like, like, I get this bad type thing, like that. Don't say, like, on my worst day, because, you need to do it, like, as if that moment there and then you are having your worst day when you're writing it, so.
And that brings me to a point with how bad. I think we were both very lucky that we didn't have the face-to-face interviews, because let's face it, at a face-to-face interview, chances are you will not be having a worse.
Oh, see, you say that. I actually had to have a follow-up one to face-to-face this year. So when I originally, this is why I'm a little bit ticked off with my whole situation. So when I originally had mine, I had to have extra questions asked and stuff like that. So apparently when they did my application, they only did it for a certain set of time. So they only had me for, I think, like half a year for my benefit claim, and then I had to have a face-to-face appointment earlier this year, and that's why now I'm not getting the mobility. I'm purely just on standard rate. Yeah, even though I literally walked in like on crutches and doing all that, because I could stand for like, I don't know, I think it was like 2 minutes. They basically just turned around and said, you're fine. Yeah, it was really bad. It was like dehumanizing, honestly. Like, I laugh about it because, like, that's the best reaction I can sort of do.
If you wouldn't laugh, you'd cry.
Yeah, if I wouldn't laugh, I'd cry. Yeah, I'd be sitting here on the podcast sobbing. But yeah, no, like, I remember going with Barely, and you know, like he was there supporting me and stuff like that, and he had to help me afterwards because like after all that happened, I could barely walk out of like barely. I get it, haha. No. Again, trying to make jokes out of a fucking shitty situation, otherwise I'll cry. But I remember coming out of that appointment and really struggling to walk to the point where I had to sit in the hospital for a little bit because I was just so, not only just physically distraught, but like mentally distraught by the situation.
Of course.
And then and then they've ended up putting me on like one of the lowest rates. So
when you saw this person who was assessing your case, how did they treat you? I think that's a big part. Sometimes they go in with you go in and this person has an impression of you, like that you're faking it or something like that, and
So for me, she was really nice up front, but then when it came to like the questions, and she did tell me that she'd interrupt me if I was going a bit off topic and stuff like that, but the vibe I got was basically that like she was just there to do her job. She didn't actually really care. And I know that sounds like harsh and stuff like that, but like when we were doing like the questions and stuff and I'd go into like really, really deep and upsetting topics, she'd cut me off. And it was like, well, no, can I not just keep explaining it? Because this is actually like super important to why I'm feeling the way that I am, and like with my mental health and stuff, like a lot of it was like trauma based, and she just cut me off, and I don't know.
That's awful.
So I really did not have a good experience at all. So if you can, try not to get a face-to-face appointment. Try and get a phone call.
So sorry you had to deal with that.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's just you just got to grit and bear it, basically. And
but you shouldn't. The fact of the matter is, you shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have to, but I did, because if I didn't, then I probably would have ended up with nothing. So I had to at least try and get, you know, some money out of it, because at the end of the day, the disability helps pay for bills and stuff like that, because I can't work a proper job. So, but at the same time, you know, it was just distressing. And I mean, today, like I talked with you about it, but I had to do another one, basically. So that was PIP. That's one form of like disability payment you get. There's another benefit system called Universal Credit. I don't know if we mentioned it in the first episode, but so Universal Credit is basically like an overall benefit system. So a lot of people get it if they're not able to work. So it's basically I keep saying disability, but there is disability in it. You get Universal Credit if you are out of work and you need finance and stuff like that. And it's supposed to be like a little barrier. So like when you do eventually get a job, you won't need Universal Credit anymore, which actually is really funny in the saddest way possible, is that people are actually still needing Universal Credit even if they're working, because people just can't afford to live nowadays, which, God, that's definitely going to be a different topic that we will talk about on a podcast. Because, cost of living crisis is definitely something that we need to definitely vent about. But today I had to have an appointment on the phone call of Universal Credit's disability system. So they have a different disability system. It's not linked with PIP at all. So I had to relive all my trauma again over the phone to someone. Luckily, this woman seemed like stupidly nice, so that helped out. Like, she was really, really lovely. But having to just tell her everything over and over again, like it's so like I was so emotionally drained. Like, obviously you guys don't know because I am here. I was thinking of not doing the podcast today because I was just so emotionally drained after that phone call, but I just needed a place to vent. So the podcast is a place to vent for me. So yeah, it was not good at all. But and then I'll find out at some very time, could take months. Because this one did take fucking months. Well, originally, we put the claim in January, and it's been, 4 months? So, yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
So, yeah, the systems over here are not great in the UK at all.
I feel like the disability ones especially are not fit for purpose.
No, not at all.
They do not assist people enough. And it should not be that difficult to get the help when you actually need help. It really shouldn't.
It's just surprising that like they're able to get away with it more than anything. That like I think that's the most disgusting part is like they're able to get away with this. They're able to treat people like the lower class scum because
you're a prime example of that. How you got treated at your face-to-face PIP interview.
Yeah.
When you're talking about something that is traumatic and you're cut off because it's not related to that. How does that person know it's not related if they don't hear the full story? They're never gonna know, and they won't get a full picture. Sometimes for things like that, you do need a full picture to see how it affects someone.
You know what really gets me as well is that like you have these appointments with the health professional. They see how you are in person and like they've spoken with you, you've explained everything to them. They're not the person who decides what claim you get. It's an office worker. They get like so the health professional will basically send off all of their evidence and stuff like that, and then someone sat in an office who's never met you in their entire life, has purely only known you because of these notes that they're given by a health professional. They're the ones that get to decide like the benefits you get, if you get benefits at all, because they can just decide, seeing all of that, they can just turn around and go, oh well, you're not disabled enough for PIP, I'm sorry, get fucked, idiot. Like what? How does that make any sense?
Well, exactly. How can someone who doesn't know you from Adam decide your fate, basically?
Yeah.
Like, it is beggars belief how that is the system that works. Someone who has no idea about the medical field or anything like that can decide whether or not you get the medical help, the financial help that you need to live a somewhat better quality of life.
Yeah, it's not like we'd love to say it helps you make a comfortable life. I'm like at the bare minimum for what I'm on, I'm getting $200 a month. And I'm sorry, like as much as I'd love to be able to say that that's comfortable living, it is far fucking from that. Jesus, like I'm grateful for getting some money at all because there are definitely people who have not. Like I don't know if I ever told you. Barely had a friend who had gotten cancer, and I believe he had his like leg amputated because of the cancer and stuff. Right. They got denied PIP first time.
Striously?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I know.
An amputee got denied.
Got denied disability straight, like first time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The system is so incredibly fucked because like there's people that are like I mean I've not heard of anything luckily, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was people that like used like mental health as an excuse to get benefits, because people have absolutely done that in the past. And then there's people that are there that are like amputees not getting any support at all. Like
that is fucking beggars belief. That is how is that even? That shouldn't even be possible for
like obviously it's hard to compare disabilities because at the end of the day mental health is very much a disability that should be taken seriously. It really fucking should be. It's just that sometimes I feel like I don't know how to describe it, but like, you know, I would rather, like, I'll be honest, like if it would had to be me, someone who struggles like really terribly with their mental health to the point where, you know, I'm bedridden most days, or someone who's literally lost their leg, I would rather give it to them. And like I don't know if that's just because like I'm the type of person that would literally just rather someone else be happier than me, but I would fully rather them to get it than me. Like I was incredibly lucky that I got it first time. Not a lot of people can say that they got it the first time. We're two very lucky people that we got it the first time. But yeah, it baffled me so much, and like I just don't understand how they work it out. If that's the sort of thing that happens, how does their system work? I'd like to know, honestly.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's somewhere along the lines something's gone wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Something has gone wrong, and they haven't rectified it, and they haven't made it better for people, and it is just awful. Absolutely awful.
It's like a circus in a way. It's like we're having to fucking perform for these like mental health or just health practitioners / these office workers. We're having to fucking perform like monkeys to just get like a crumb of money from them, basically.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How is that even fucking fair for anything? Like, as a society, how is that fair? Like, it boils me so bad.
It just feels like sometimes that you, as a person suffering with a disability, it feels like I need to start wearing a fucking lanyard that says I am disabled for people to take me seriously. But then at the same time, I don't want to do that because I want to try and live my life as normally as possible.
You want to live as normal as possible. Like, I went to the zoo last year. And it was the first time that I'd been to the zoo while being disabled. I realised very early on that I would not be able to walk around with my crutches because it's such a big place, the zoo. Like, they're massive. All zoos are massive. So I would not be able to walk around because I would just get too exhausted. My arms would ache and all this sort of stuff. And mentally, I would just not be able to handle it. And I remember, like, trying to get a wheelchair from there. It was already difficult because there's already, like, a lot of people that have, like, pre-booked wheelchairs and stuff and all that sort of stuff. But I remember the woman at the desk, like, because obviously they were struggling with wheelchairs, she literally turned around to me and was like, oh, you know, you look like you'd be able to walk around. You've got crutches. You should be all right if we give you this, like, shitty wheelchair that would basically break, and then if you want an electric one, we'll give you a call. Yeah, never called me at all.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
So I don't know what happened there. Like, I don't know whether there was just some sort of miscommunication or anything like that. But I did get a wheelchair. It was a bit shit, and I'll be honest, with like the zoo that we went to, the areas around it, like, you could not do a push wheelchair unless you've got someone with you that is able to, like, strongly push you, because the floors were terrible. They were like those, like, wooden slats that, like, if you went over them, like, the wheelchair would, like, the wheel would spin, basically, and get stuck sometimes. So Jesus. There were moments that I just had to get out because we just could not, like, go over that sort of terrain. Yeah. And it wasn't just me, there was other people as well, like, with these push ones that were just unable to get over the terrain, so they had to, like, come out a bit. Imagine if you gave that to someone who, like, just couldn't, like, properly walk at all. Like, bearing in mind they probably do have a wheelchair of their own themselves, but, like, maybe they didn't bring, like, a proper good one. Like, maybe they have a push one and they were like, oh, you know, we'd be good with an electric one, because the electric ones could go over them fine, you know? And it was just... It's just baffling that, like, if it was purely just, like, a mental health thing, and, like, I was just, like, completely exhausted, and I just couldn't walk because I was just too exhausted or anything like that, because, like, again, mental health does affect your physical health. If that had happened, I would not have got it at all. I would not. Yeah, they would have questioned, and I would not have got it, because I had to fill out a form as well. So, because obviously you have to fill out, like, a form to basically be like, if the wheelchair gets stolen, it's your fault, you gotta pay for it, yada yada, and all that sort of stuff. So, and we had to, like, it was like a deposit thing, so you paid, like, I think it was 25 quid, but then you obviously got it back, because it was just basically like a, you know, if the wheelchair gets lost or anything.
Type thing.
Yeah, security deposit. So we got it back, but, like, yeah, it was just crazy. Like, just
at the end of the day, people will not know anything about someone you just meet. You cannot
know
say what they do or don't have, because you do not know that person. So you cannot assume just because someone looks normal, quotation, does not mean that they are.
Well, this is the thing, like, what's normal at the end of the day? What's this normal, you know? It's like, I don't understand in people's heads, like, what's normal? Like, what do you is the definition of disability for you someone that's missing, like, an arm, a leg, or anything like that, or that they're wheelchair bound? Is that your version of disability? If so, like, you need to expand like your knowledge.
Well,
really.
exactly. Disability is not a binary. It's not
No.
black and white. It is a spectrum. There are different levels of disability.
And I mean, at the end of the day, like people that do have like an arm, leg, or anything like that missing, a lot of them wouldn't even consider themselves disabled because like a lot of them will try and live a normal life and you know, go out and work a job and all that, so they wouldn't consider themselves disabled. So if there are people out there considering them as disabled, then what is the actual definition of disability in that regard? You know, who is actually disabled? You know, and like you say, it's very much a spectrum because some days you can be completely fine. You know, there are days where I've been able to, you know, walk around and, you know, feel okay and stuff like that. I've not been able to, like, go out of the house. Like, it'll be inside my own house. Like, if I go out of the house, I've never been able to feel like I could walk properly, so I've always had my crutches, because after just walking outside and that, I think it's more of a mental thing. I just get so exhausted that I need to sit down. Whereas in the house, because it's in my comfort zone, I'm able to walk around a lot better. There are times where I've had to use my crutches, like, just to get to and from the kitchen and upstairs and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's crazy to me that people have this preset in their mind of what something is supposed to look like, and when someone doesn't look like that, they're not that, you know? And it doesn't just go for disability, it goes for, like, other things as well. Like, I mean, last week we talked about sexuality and stuff. Gender definitely is a thing as well. So I don't know. It's one of those things that I just can't fathom, I guess. So
well, that's exactly it. And I think one of the things that pisses me off the most is when you hear from people who say, "Oh, there are people in the world who have it worse than you," and that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because yes,
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
I'm sure there are, but that doesn't mean my problem is any less than someone else's.
Yeah.
And the same. That doesn't mean anyone else's problem is less than mine. Everyone has a threshold. Everyone has a certain point where they get to where it's just like, no, this is too much. I can't.
Yeah.
Today's a
everyone's got their limit and their breaking point type situation, and I think that that's kind of like something that I feel like just us as humans just really struggle with, because, and I don't think it's an inherently bad thing fully. Like, we are very comparative of each other. Like, I think, like, not just us two. Like, I know we are anyway, because we've done that before. We've talked about, like, comparisons and stuff like that. But as humans, we are very much comparative. We compare ourselves constantly to each other, whether that's via work, via looks, via, you know, finance, etc., etc. We're always constantly comparing ourselves to each other, and I think it's that idea in your head that's like, oh, well, I'm feeling this way, this person's like this, so clearly I'm not struggling as much as they are. When in reality, you are struggling as much as they are, because, like you say, you've got different thresholds. Your day of struggling might be someone's, like, breaking point. Like, that might be the point that's gone too far for them, or it might be the point where they're just barely starting to feel a certain way, or etc., etc. You know, it's one of those things where we'll compare ourselves, and we really shouldn't, but we're gonna do it anyway, because that's just how we are. We will just compare ourselves, because at the end of the day, that's all we can really do as a society, is keep comparing ourselves to other people, because we have these people on pedestals that we're supposed to be like. And
yeah, exactly. That is the big issue. It's that there are ideals that are spread about in social media, the media, everything, that this is the ideal person. This is how people should look. This is what people should eat. And that it just sets impossible standards.
100%, yeah.
For able-bodied people, let alone disabled people.
Yeah. It's just, there's this stigma around everything that exists because people have done that. Like, the stigmas exist, like, because of other people. And it's honestly, it's exhausting. It's exhausting trying to live the life that you think you should live, because you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, and if you're going to do that, you're never going to live, because you're not going to be like other people. You are your own person at the end of the day.
You need to live to your ideals, not
to
someone
your
else's.
standards.
And yes, I completely understand that is so much easier said than done.
Oh,
because,
absolutely,
again,
absolutely.
It might sound hypocritical, because I know for a fact I struggle doing that, but that all you can do is try the best you can, and just live every day to the best of your ability, if possible. But everything is easier said than done, and
100%, yeah.
With everything that goes on nowadays, and it's no wonder people are getting worse off and feeling worse, and
I think again, like, and it cropped up mostly within like the first episode. Social media is very much something that has allowed people to be able to like constantly compare themselves to others and stuff like that, because we're at this point now where we're not in our own bubbles, we're not around people constantly within our lives, like just with people that live immediately with us. We're now constantly in the bubbles of people that are around us on the internet, so we're now able to compare ourselves to wider audiences per se. So, and it's just one of those things where
like you end up comparing yourself to someone that you will never
meet.
Ever meet.
Yeah.
And why should you do that?
Yeah. I have a habit of doing it, and I won't. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I will sit there and understand that I'm going through so much and stuff like that. And sadly, recently, because we are looking to move house and get ourselves a new place, we have been turned away from places to live because I'm on benefits for disability. I don't think it is specifically disability, but more so because I'm on benefits, right? And I will sit there and like get upset and like think that like, God, like this is just so fucking awful and stuff like that. And then I'll see people that are online that are going through like different like illnesses and stuff like that, and they'll try and raise money to like help themselves out, which is amazing that people are able to support them. And you kind of just have this like little thing sat there in your brain where you're like, well, you know, why aren't people helping me as much like that? And it's you shouldn't like, fuck off, brain. Don't fucking do that. Yeah. You're a piece of shit. Stop it. You know? It's you're like constantly comparing yourself, and it's like that person's probably going through so much shit in their life, and you don't know what they're going through. You just kind of see like the preface, but then you have like this idea in your head that's like, well, I'm going through a bad time. Why aren't I getting this sort of stuff? And it's like, well, it could be completely fucking different, brain. Shut the fuck up. You're a dumbass.
Exactly.
It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Go on.
Recently, I've found just trying to get through each day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets very difficult. If I'm having a day where I'm in severe pain, it is so hard to drag myself out of bed in the morning.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
And I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's because of social media or all the shit that's going on in the world. It kind of brings me down and makes me like, why the fuck should I bother? And that is a problem I am trying to work on, but
yeah,
it's not easy.
Absolutely. I don't. To be fair, none of life is easy, but I feel like when you have a disability, you know, like you're playing a video game of life, and I feel like if you get a disability, you've been put on fucking hard mode. I'll be honest. Like, everyone has their time of going through life. Yeah, you know, you've everyone's going to go through life different ways and stuff like that. I just feel like with the disability, you've got like this sort of extra difficulty that you've got to
Unfortunately,
overcome.
there is no walkthrough for life.
I fucking wish there was. I wish there was a walkthrough. I wish there was some fucking cheat codes or some shit. Like, I need something to help me get through the day, because I'll be perfectly honest, there have been times lately, especially with all this stuff going on with my housing and that, where I don't want to be here anymore. I'll be perfectly honest. And that's, a problem that I need to deal with myself and with, my immediate family and stuff like that and friends, where it shouldn't be that way. I shouldn't have to feel like I don't want to be here because I'm being turned away because of being on benefits because I'm disabled. It feels like a form of discrimination that I can't explain. Well, I mean, I probably could explain it, but it really does feel like a discrimination. I don't think it is because of that. I think it's possibly like a more of a money thing. I'll be honest. Like, I'll try and give landlords some credit, but I really don't like landlords. But I'm not going to go into the topic of landlords because that would be that's a whole different thing itself entirely. But I feel that there's definitely something there when, like, especially like with people like landlords and that, and even in jobs as well. I've had people, like, when I've gone for job interviews in the past when I've had mental health, I've had interviewers brought up the mental health stuff and then I've never heard back from them. So it does make you wonder if there is some like sort of still discriminatory things going on within the world that we should have really see it sorted by now,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just Yeah, I'm kind of lost for words, really.
No, I know what you mean. Like, it's like we mentioned earlier on in the podcast, like, this one is going to be a very, very, very personal topic for us both, so there's definitely moments where we're, like, I'm tearing up a little, but it's just because I'm more angry than anything else, so, like, there's definitely moments where we're going to be upset, and there has clearly been moments where we've been upset, and it's just... It's a hard one, but at the end of the day, this is the sort of thing that we wanted to do with the podcast, was we wanted to touch on subjects that were personal to us, because we want this podcast to sort of feel like someone two people that are talking with you and helping you go through things and helping you deal with things, because I just want like a nice vibe going on with it, and we want to be so like people that can help you out if needs be by just chatting shit, I guess. That's basically the idea that we wanted from it.
Just you're not alone.
Yeah.
Basically, that is one of the reasons we're doing this, is just to let people know you're not alone. There are people. We're trying to build a community where everyone is accepted and welcome, and people can help via their own experiences through life, any advice that they have from what they've dealt with, and that is what I want to get out of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like we've gone through so much in our life. Like we're still pretty young. Like I'm 26, you're nearly 30. Yeah, so we're both still pretty young in the grand scheme of things, really. And yet in our years we've gone through so much that it's insane, really. Like it should have aged us, and it probably fucking has. So
for me, I'm still trying to come to the to terms with the fact that people with my condition have an average life expectancy of 60.
Yeah.
It does get very hard to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's one of those things where you don't really think about it at the time when you get told stuff like that, and then you really, really, really think about it, and it is upsetting, because, yeah, like you say, you've got people that are, who have your condition and have not had a long life. Obviously, that's not everyone, Mm-hmm. There are people that absolutely do break the norms. I mean, with my illness, polycystic ovarian syndrome, most people that have that illness can't have children. So I have to come to the terms that I might not be able to have children at all. Yeah. And that was something that I grew up desperately wanting one day, is to have a family. And God, now I'm starting to fucking tear up, because it's definitely a sensitive topic with that regard. But yeah, it's one of those things where you don't really think about it at the time, and then you start to think about it more and more and more, and it just really gets to you. It really does get to you. Like I say as well, people break the norm. There are people that have my illness and they have children. There are definitely, like, it's not always concrete 100% this is what's going to happen, but it does definitely play on your mind 100%. And I think that doesn't help the mental health aspect side with disability, is that if you've got, like, physical illnesses that are affecting you, they then take on your mental illnesses and they make it worse, and they just both collide with each other. Like, it's not just one or the other. If you've got, like, a mental health disability and then you've got a physical disability, they're not separate things. They are very much things that definitely coincide with each other. People always talk about, like, oh, if you're disabled, like, say you're in a wheelchair and stuff like that, your mental health is probably really shit because you probably feel like a certain way. And sure, that might be the case for a lot of people. Some people don't. Some people see the disability is just part of them. It doesn't define them, and that's true. It's true in the full aspect of the disability doesn't define you as a person. You are who you are, and if you have a disability, it fucking sucks for a lot of people, but it's not who you are. Just do what you can as you can, and just try and live the life that you want to live. And if you find that you are struggling, then just try and reach out to any resources that you have, any friends, any family, mental health resources especially. I've been very lucky that at the moment I see someone for my mental health, and she's really, really good. She's really, really kind. I only see her once a month, and unfortunately these past 2 months the appointment's been cancelled, so I've actually not seen her for 3 months. So it has been difficult in that regard, because she's so popular, because she's so nice. So she's like the main mental health practitioner at my GPs, so of course she's going to be completely busy if she's one of the main ones. Like, there is another one, but I don't think she works as much as my mental health practitioner, so I think she's definitely way more busier and stuff like that. But no, at the end of the day, just, if you're going to take anything from this podcast, just understand that disability, sure, there's a lot of your life that's going to be taken away from you because of certain disabilities and stuff, but just make your own path. Do whatever you can with whatever tools you've got, whatever resources you've got around you, because it's not the be-all end-all. Having a disability is not the be-all end-all. You are going to excel in whatever you want to do in life, and you will find a way to make it work for you. There are people that have got no arms, and I saw like an inspiring story of a guy who lost his arms. I think he had an accident, or he was either he had an accident or he was born like without his arms, because he had to get them amputated when he was little, and he ended up becoming a painter because he used his mouth. He used his mouth to...
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, he used his mouth to paint paintings and stuff, and I think that's stupidly inspiring that no matter what, he still found a way to fuel his passion, and I think that's absolutely incredible. I really do think that's inspiring.
And I think that's the perfect way to end this episode.
Yeah.
I apologise. It's getting a bit difficult for me to talk.
That's all right.
Now, and I've got an early morning as well.
That's true. So yeah, speaking of disability, you do have to go to the hospital tomorrow and get some stuff sorted, hopefully. So fingers crossed for you that you managed to get that all sorted. So, But yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. It was very much appreciated.
Yeah,
everyone who was with us.
we apologise that it was a very personal one today, but I think it's probably all going to be very personal. So this one is definitely a bit more raw for both of us, I think, because it's something that we've kind of dealt with for like a long time. So, and we're still probably going to be dealing with it for the rest of our life. So this one was definitely a lot more personal and that. So. But yeah, no, I thank you all so much for joining. If you were listening in on Twitch, thank you so much for listening in live. If you're listening to this on YouTube, thank you so much for supporting us off platform as well. This will be uploaded some point next week, so keep an eye out for that. But yes, the podcast now will be every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. BST, so the next episode will be on the 25th of April at 8 p.m. BST. And until then, take care and see you all soon. Bye. Bye.